Ohayou gozaimasu, irashaimase. Welcome to Ohayou Anime, the anime podcast. It doesn't take place in the morning, but it is morning in Japan, so that's how we're getting away with it. My name is John, and we're here to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen mostly. We'll be getting into that in spoilerific detail later. We have the most recent 2 episodes that we'll be covering, and I have a manga review. We'll see what else we get into. We will have some of the usual suspects here with us, including Phil. How's it going?
Hey, John. It's going well. How about you?
Going good. Got some Christmas stuff up today. So
really nice. But likely yesterday. Right there with you.
Nice. Yeah, I thought maybe some of my lights would show in here if I had the light off, but it doesn't seem like they do. So
I don't see any, but it's okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's get their other guest in here, Mike. Mike, how's it going?
Hey guys, going well. How are you?
Good. Is that your which track is that on your hat?
That's Road America.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Nice. At first glance, I was like, it's a really messed up like bicep or arm or something. And I was like, oh no, it's a track. Okay.
I definitely thought it was like some company's really abstract logo. So, sure. Track's cooler, way cooler.
Dude just he's got a messed up elbow.
Right. Yeah.
Double jointed.
Got some compound fractures going on there. But
yeah.
You guys should have told me I could have grew a bit more of a beard for the show tonight or something. I mean, you guys got
Can you grow a beard pretty fast, John?
Yeah, I feel like pretty fast. Yeah,
I feel like you can.
But
I feel like we're bringing the beard every time. Like this isn't something.
Phil's got more beard. Phil's got more beard now.
He's got a little more.
Yeah, Mike, you for sure always bring it. Definitely.
I mean, yours is looking fantastic, but I don't feel like this is out of nowhere.
I've been growing it for a couple months, but there's been a lot of pods. To John's point, there's been a lot of pods where I've been like mostly clean shaven or more or less stubble. I do go back and forth to varying lengths. Yeah. So every once in a while I get a bee in my bonnet where I'm like, I'm gonna grow a beard and for like a long time, for months.
It's a kick-ass beard. You look good with it.
I appreciate that. I've always had a little like I'm just gonna be real honest and open and vulnerable with the audience, and say that I have a little bit of beard confidence issues. My oldest brother, so I have 2 brothers, an older brother and a younger brother. My older brother, from when he was like a young man, could and can grow a very large, full, red like Viking beard. Nice. Like extremely full, nicely shaped beard. Like it's quite a thing to see. My little brother can also now grow a pretty good beard. I've always it's taken me a little longer, so I'm my late 30s and I can grow a pretty good decent beard now, but through most of my teens and 20s and even into my early 30s there were still some patchy areas, and I'm blonde, light brown hair. My mom used to say dishwater blonde, which is thanks, Mom. That's real. Now that I'm older, I'm like, that's kind of I was a little bit insult, but sure.
Hey, she keeps it real with you.
Keeps it real with me. Yep, she's not sugarcoating it. But anyway, so my on the blonde side, so even in the areas where it is if it's really blonde, it's whatever. You guys
sometimes it does take a little bit longer of a beard to show if it's going to be a more blonde. Right, for sure.
That's true. Yeah.
But no, I appreciate you saying that, because I do like to grow it out, and it's at a point
sometimes
now where
it just takes that bit of time to really grow it and just not touch it. You just gotta let it go for a while. It's going to be messy and itchy and unkempt till you can then actually like decide to shape it, because you start getting too crazy shaping it before it's ready. And
agreed. You gotta have a fair amount there to really trim it.
Yeah,
effectively. I feel like.
Yeah,
I'm not good at it. I mean, obviously, you don't grow up.
Me neither.
Trimming your beard exactly. So it takes a.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, good job with beards, gentlemen. Let's see. So, what's that?
Oh, I just said A+ on the beard growing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to shave for a while, John, so you have some time to get on the beard train.
Okay. I don't know. I had a period of time where I was pretty bearded up for a while.
Yeah, true.
And I feel like now, kids like to pull stuff.
Yep.
So I might be kind of beardless for a minute.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
Don't hold back for that. My son, when he was little, used to like grab it and stuff. When he'd get tired, like he'd lay with me and he'd start playing with it. It's adorable, man. It's adorable.
Yep. True.
Yeah.
But that's a good point that my kids are a little bit past the beard grabbing stage, so I'm not don't care about that too much.
Okay. Well, getting past stages, Mike, I feel like well, for sure, not long ago, you're like, I feel like I'm past the stage of anime newbie, getting more shows under my belt now.
Yep.
And Mike, I feel like you're working your way there too. You've seen a variety of different things now, especially with the racing genre, giving you options in the moment. So we'll start with you, Mike. See what give us an update where you're at on the shows you've been watching.
So I finished Dorohedoro. I finished Chainsaw Man.
Yes.
Both of those are wild. I think Phil said Fever Dream, and Dorohedoro is that's right up there. I'm still not 100%. I know what's happening. It took a while to understand what's happening,
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to accept what it is.
Yeah.
And then Chainsaw Man, I went after following your guys' recommendation as well. That one, I could give or take. There was some scenes that were excellent, and then just like the story as a whole is so ludicrous. It's just so crazy. And then the racing genre is alive and kicking right now. So been watching MF Ghost, which is the sequel to Initial D, and feeling that one is fairly lackluster. Not terribly impressed with that show as a whole. Like when it tugs on the nostalgia strings, I'm all for it. When it's doing its own thing, it falls a little flat. And then on the other side of the racing coin, you have Overtake, which it is an unbelievably good show. It uses racing only as the vehicle, pun intended, for an incredible story and character study. Like, I almost feel weird talking about an anime in such kind of like high regard from a storytelling perspective, because I guess I still am somewhat rather new to like being anime focused, and it feels odd saying that a cartoon has this kind of depth, but damn, man, it just does.
Yeah.
Episode 9 literally brought me to tears, which is, not something I usually say or admit, but it is so fantastic in the way that it focuses on human emotions and the impact that situations have on people. It's dealing with PTSD very significantly. It turns out that is like an underlying theme of the main character of the show. And that's always been hinted at up to this point, but now it's really come to the surface, and man, does it leave an impact. And then also it happens to have some racing in it, where the secondary character, almost a main character, but secondary character, that's like how he's growing up the ranks. We know that there's a significant backstory to his upbringing and how things happen. I'm sure we'll dive into that a little bit deeper as we go along here. But even the side characters in Overtake have depth. We'll call him the Max Verstappen of this world for anybody who is familiar with Formula One and just the utter dominance that Max has had over the last couple of years. In this show, the top team has two drivers, a top driver who is very happy-go-lucky, very positive, always smiling, no matter what the situation. That is a defense mechanism. You are finding out that it is a defense mechanism, and it's starting to crumble. And it's just, it's amazing. Like, it's great. I mean, people have fallen in love with the Ford versus Ferrari movies, right? And talk about how good that movie is, even if you're not a racing fan. The same thing has been said for Rush. I think that was, I don't know if that was Scorsese or not. But the point is just that there are options, there are opportunities that have been taken in the past to tell a really, really good story through the lens of racing. And that's really what Overtake is. It's also incredibly accurate, talking about the actual racing aspect of it. It's very realistic. MF Ghost is the polar opposite. It's as far from realistic as you can possibly get. So if you're into that, great. But if you really want to learn something about racing in general and the mindset of drivers, Overtake is just splendid. So,
yeah, well, that's awesome. I mean, it just shows anything. It's always about the drama. Mm-hmm. It's about characters or whatever. And so, it doesn't matter so much the situation you put them in. That really can be the draw for a person. If you're interested in racing, it makes you watch it. But it's got to be more than that. If there's all kinds of sports anime. Yuri on Ice is very popular. Was at one point, and it's about figure skating.
Okay.
If you don't care about figure skating, you might not give it a try. But it's got to be more than that if people are going to get hooked into it. So.
Yeah.
No, that's
you're right. It's the book cover, right? The racing aspect is the book cover here. There's a book called The Art of Racing in the Rain, which, that's a pretty popular and well-known book now, as well. If you were not into racing, you might not pick that book up also, unless you had heard how good it is. It has very little to do with the racing itself. That's not what the story is about. And it's cool to see anime have that same level of story building. And I don't know that I've gotten a whole lot of that Dragon Ball Z is not going to give you that, right? You got to really stretch for that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's cool to see that.
Well, here's the reality of it. Like in America, in the West, like you say, kind of everyone's grown up with the idea that cartoons are for kids. It just it's been that way for decades, and it's still that way in the minds of a lot of people. The exception being like some adult-oriented comedies. Mm-hmm. So your South Parks, your Simpsons, or something like that,
which are still quite immature. To your point of like cartoons being for kids, like the humor is very immature.
Yeah, it's a humorous,
Family Guy,
right.
Yep. And so the things that come over, they know that there's a market for is for cartoons for the youth, for the kids. Mm-hmm. That's much easier to market to. And ultimately, who sells and drives the future of pop culture? It's kids, it's teens. Anytime the biggest band ever in existence, the people that are into that have the time and are invested in that are kids, tweens, teens. Who makes the shoes or beats the popular thing? It's what kids asking for Christmas or whatever. Those are the driving forces behind pop culture. It's not people our age, and so things aren't specifically for our age necessarily, and especially in this cartoon realm. Well, in Japan, it's just not the same dynamic. A lot of people consume manga, especially, and there's genres of every possible thing you could ever imagine, and they're okay with very specifically targeting audiences. Genres are named after the demographic they're going for. It's very transparent in that sort of way. So when most of the content we're getting over here have always been is aimed at literally young boys, that's the kind of market you're going to see. And so that's what most of, has developed here. So a lot of things we're watching and like, look, I still love Batman, designed for kids, 90 years ago or whatever.
Yep.
And it's evolved and been all kinds of different things and whatever,
Sure.
So like there's no age limit on these things, but there is a target audience, and Overtake is not going to have the target audience of a 13-year-old boy. That's
Right.
not the target audience. So you're getting a different thing. And so, if you want the thing, if crazy action and the sort of person going through the hero's journey to like power up and overcome obstacles, the sort of thing that youth might be inspired by.
Yep.
Someone like a My Hero Academia, Midoriya is like, he doesn't have the things everybody else does, but if he works really hard, he's able to achieve a greater goal and become a hero that he's seeking to be. It's a classic inspirational kind of story, perfect for the youth. But if you want people that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s going through that part of their life, it's less. There are fewer options, and you have to look more in the West.
Sure. And I think both of those are equally valuable. We had just focused so much on that hero's journey story, right? Of late, like that's what we've been from Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer. Not so much Dorohedoro, right? But
Right.
Invincible. And I know we're not talking, that's anime adjacent, right?
Mhm.
But all of those things have that same similar story. So this was a nice change of pace, I think. And frankly, MF Ghost fits more into that teenager type of thing. Now, the characters in Overtake, the primary driver is still a young teenager, and that's pretty common in formula racing. It's pretty common in all sorts of racing. The person that won the MX5 Mazda Cup Series, between 14 and 17 years old is what's common, right? But in the team structure, you've also got some adults that are going through this, and Overtake is told both from the young kid moving up the ranks as a driver, and then it's got this really creative second storyline where the actual main character is a photographer, right? He is a photographer who is sort of lost his passion, lost his, not his talent, but his will to put the passion into the photography that he wants to have. And you're learning why that is, what the trauma has happened, or what trauma has happened to him to cause him to struggle, right? So you've got both age ranges in this, and it's pretty excellent. It's a good blend.
Nice.
Cool. I'm just looking it up now. All right. It's on Crunchyroll.
Yep, it is.
Let's check it out.
9 episodes right now. This is the first season.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a manga to go along with it. I know there is for MF Ghost, and that has not been as well received. It's got big shoes to fill, right? It's got really big shoes to fill.
Right.
Sure.
So this one gets to be new and have no expectation set. So
I see that it's called Overtake!
yeah,
Exclamation point.
yeah.
Just make sure I put that into my notes.
Nice.
Very important.
I'm excited to hear what you think.
For sure.
All right. Well, yeah. Phil, what's we've seen what Mike's watching this new. What about you?
Yeah, good question. I've been in kind of like I don't want to call it a slump, but I've had trouble finding a show that I've like been trying a bunch of different things, and nothing's like grabbed me and made me want to like binge the whole season. So I'm just kind of trying a bunch of different things right now. I did. Oh, I can update on. So I binged Arcane, which is anime adjacent.
Oh, you did?
Yes. So I binged Arcane, which was awesome. It was incredible. All the things you guys said, you guys are all correct. It was really good. It was like, I texted the group. I mean, you guys know, but I texted our text thread. There's a pretty like, I don't know, Well, we don't care about spoilers in the show, right?
Well, we'll leave arcane spoilers out.
All right. Okay, well, there's a scene. There's some like quite heart-wrenching scenes kind of in the middle. Actually, it's like in the third. It doesn't matter. And I was just like texting these guys like, thanks for the heads up, dudes, like everyone, about the sadness and the anyway.
Well, Andrea's in the chat and she says good job for
thanks, Ann.
Getting through it.
So it was really good. It did not go, I didn't know what direction I thought it was gonna go, but I didn't think it was going to go that direction, I guess. So, and if you guys called that, then kudos to you.
No, not at all. Not at all, man.
This is just, it's dad of two girls. It doesn't matter. But dad's dad of two daughters. I was just like, oh, this is.
Well, we'll probably talk about when this second season eventually hits. Sure. We'll probably do get who we can on to the regular show and talk about
recap it.
Recap of season 1 and what we're looking forward to in season 2. So remind us all of kind of what went down and stuff. So
do they have a season 2 scheduled?
It's coming.
I think they said November 2024 was announced. So totally coming in a year.
Yeah.
So that's the last I read.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Long delay.
Yeah. And then I watched. I'm like halfway, maybe a little more than halfway through the first season, but Akuma-kun on Netflix. It's like I think it's technically considered anime. It's like one of Netflix's like original animes.
I think so.
And it's good. It's really interesting. It's kind of this like Sherlock Holmesian sort of play off of that. It's like this really. The main characters seem like kids, but it's like definitely a show for adults. Because there's like some violence and stuff. But it's this kid who's like really smart, and there's just like he's like a half demon assistant, and they like hunt demons kind of, but they're also like solving mysteries that people come to them to like, hey, can you help me figure out why this is happening or why my house is being haunted?
It's kind of like sounds a lot like that other one that I had tried too. It's like it's weird how these trends happen. The Undead Murder Farce. I think you said you tried an episode of that. That's a very similar sort of premise.
Okay, actually. So it's like it's good. I like it, but can only usually watch.
It doesn't seem like it is. It seems like it's not really getting.
I don't know.
You fired up.
Well, it's like it's almost like some of these shows, they're episodic, but there's also this I think what I'm realizing about myself is that I don't mind an episodic show if there's like a storyline that's also continuing through. It doesn't have to be the main thing, but shows that move too slowly with the overarching storyline, I feel like I get like kind of bored with it after a while, and it's like I can only watch so many like the episodic episodes. That's like what was that show? Space Dandy is kind of a great example of that, where I really like it. It's really well done. It's like wacky and zany and fun, but they all start to kind of blend together. And granted, I haven't watched a ton of episodes of that, probably only half dozen, but so it's fine for here and there. But you try to watch several in a row, and I just get like sleepy because there's kind of
Well, so Mike, we were just talking about that the other night about how you maybe prefer something that's a little more episodic. Is that fair to say, or is it like just when it's a week by week consumption sort of thing, you prefer episodic?
Oh, you're muted, dude.
Oh, I can't hear you, Mike.
So
there you go. Oh, you're muted again.
Oh, now you're gone again. What's happening?
Am I gone?
There you are.
All right. There are definitely shows that I enjoy that are completely episodic. I'm having trouble thinking of an anime that falls into that category, but things like Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix, right? They're very loosely related, if at all, to each other, and I still enjoy that. I think I'm with you, Phil, on the fact that when I get time set aside to watch a show and I'm expecting the story to have some degree of progression to it, and it just doesn't do that at all, especially if it feels like it's a couple of weeks long, or if it feels like the show's episode is just too short to allow it an opportunity to progress the story, that's where I start to get frustrated. Right. And I think I'll bring that up as we talk about the Jujutsu Kaisen a little bit more. But I do actually I can find enjoyment in an episodic style if that's the expectation that's set. Right. Sure. And if the story can be done well in a concise format like that. I still expect a full circle story. Otherwise it'll feel unfulfilling. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, to me, I mean, Dragon Ball Z, side episodes, right? We just call them fillers, right? For the most part, I will skip past those even when they're brand new. I just don't care, right? Unless there is a deep opportunity to understand something more about a character. But like the baseball episode in Dragon Ball Z, I know a lot of people like that a lot. I don't care about that. At all. Yeah. Fair. So anything that feels like it's stealing time away from the story that I'm invested in, I'm not a fan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
So I've really been searching for something that's just like knocks my socks off. Like I felt like, I know I've been sending you guys just endless articles and stuff about Blue Eye Samurai, but I felt the way about Blue Eye Samurai. I know it's not technically anime adjacent, but it just pulled me in and I was just like glued to it. Really, I mean, that one's all about the story and it doesn't waste any time moving through. So that's just like, I guess maybe I like that kind of thing more. I guess it depends what I'm in the mood for, but I'm looking for something like that and I just haven't really found it. I did start last night a show called Summertime Rendering. It's on Hulu.
Okay.
It's supposed to be really good.
It is supposed to be really good.
The first couple episodes, really good. Yeah, the first couple episodes are good. It's like very much I'm getting like strong Groundhog's Day vibes right away. And then I think my understanding is that just based on some cursory things I read online is that it really goes from just kind of, you think it's this and it goes to like, whoa, it's actually like wild and really far reaching. So I'm excited to keep going with that.
If you keep going on that and like it, then I maybe will finally start that because I bought that.
Oh,
I have
nice.
a DVD of it.
Sweet.
Blu-ray,
Okay.
And, because it's on my list. I've heard only good things, but basically nothing about it, and I want to keep it that way. So just gonna give it a shot.
So I'll keep going with that then.
I would try that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think it's kind of a suspense mystery, but I think it morphs into a whole other thing. So
cool.
Yeah. So much that I've watched a couple Miyazaki films since we last talked about it, John. I think, Mike, you weren't on that pod, but I kind of went through that. I watched like Howl's Moving Castle and Kiki's Delivery Service with my girls. Not Howl's Moving Castle with them, but they watched Kiki's Delivery Service. And then the other week, as a family, we watched My Neighbor Totoro, which we all loved. That was our favorite so far, even more than Kiki's Delivery Service. Really cute, really well done. The Miyazaki animation is just, it's so like, I think I talked to you about this, John, even though I didn't experience these movies as a kid, the animation style and just the way it's, and the way they like really highlight nature is just very nostalgic. It brings you back to when you were a kid, even though I didn't watch these movies when I was a kid. It's a very interesting phenomenon, but anyway. And then Dana and I, just recently, we watched it in 2 parts because it's so effing long, but Mononoke, really good. But yeah, it had to have been, and the runtime I have it on Blu-ray and the runtime didn't show up on the bottom, but it had to have been like 3.5 hours long because we watched it in two separate nights. You think?
No way.
I don't know.
No, unless you're watching some like weird version of it.
I don't know. It seems so long.
Compared to any modern...
I'm looking it up right now. Are you looking? Who's fastest? Okay. Anyway, you guys look it up. It felt long. I don't know. Which was
2 hours and 14 minutes.
How long?
2 hours 14.
Okay. Well, fine.
But hey, honestly, no, that's interesting though. It is long, but making something feel 3 hours long when it's 2 hours 14, is that a pacing issue? Were you not drawn in? Did it start to lag or okay?
I think we were. I think we started it late the first night, and so we were like, it's getting late. And then I think we thought we only had a little bit left. But then we were like, oh, there's like half the movie still. I don't know. I think it was our own perception probably, but
sure.
Really good though. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I am surprised it's that long. I've only seen it once and quite a while ago, but I don't remember it being that long.
There's some really cool parts, like when the wolf gods are talking to like the gorilla gods and talking to the boar gods. I was like, oh, this is like super, almost like freaky, but like in a cool way vibe. It just like I don't know, it goes to a really weird place at one point, and I was like, whoa, I'm like messing with my mind.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad you're getting more of those under your belt.
Yep.
I'm still, you probably watch more of them now than me, so
could be. Yeah, I still have several to tackle, but yeah, really good. So I think that's kind of what I've been watching.
I would, if you're looking for things that grab you, I hope Summertime Rendering does. Hope it's as good as people say, but you should give seems like the anime of the season is Frieren Beyond Journey's End.
Yes.
I started it, and Ashley's like, it's too sad, so I don't want to keep going.
Sure.
It's just like a bummer or whatever that for the night. So I'm hoping to keep watching it yet, but I've only seen the first episode, and I just hear it goes good places as well. Okay, so
cool. That's interesting you brought that up, because I actually wanted to say I told you I had started it. I think I've only seen 1 or 2 episodes as well. And it's on my list to like check to go back to at some point. But last night when I was looking up Summertime Rendering on my anime list, just out of curiosity to see what its score was, I was thinking to myself, because I forgot it ranks the anime too. Like I think it keeps just like a running ranking of all the popular or all anime. And that one was I don't know, 80 something. I forget what. But then I was thinking, like, what are like some of the top anime? Is it like One Piece? Is that like number 1, or what is number 1? So I clicked on like the rankings, and Frieren is number 1. I mean, obviously,
right?
It's like it's like Billboard top 100. You know, like they rise and fall, but currently it's number 1. I was like, oh, and it's like at like a 9.26 score. I was like, this is, I guess, must be excellent. Or if it's just the flavor of the month and everyone's excited about it, so they're rating it really high. I'm sure there's going to be some. It'll balance back out at some point. But
the interesting thing about that is, there's been a deluge of fantasy anime, I'd say, in the last few years.
Yeah.
And this is another fantasy based anime. So it's not like something that, this is a new genre we haven't seen in a while, or something that would pique people's interest. So I feel like it's rising above. And also the fact that it's a fantasy that's not an isekai. So it's not, you're in another world kind of thing. So
it's just a
hope to keep going on that. So Mike, the premise is just like there is this woman that's an elf, and she just has to grapple with the idea that she lives a very long time, and all her compadres, all her friends and stuff don't. Right. They're humans and whatever. And so she just playing with like the passage of time and the perception of it, and how that would be so different to someone that is seemingly immortal, or lives for thousands of years or whatever. So
I was gonna say it's relatable to other like fantasy, like common fantasy storylines. Like, the way it kind of starts out is that like she went on this hero's journey with her crew, and then like it's after that what happens. So you think with a fantasy anime or a fantasy epic, there's going to be big battles, and it's like all this stuff happened in the past. I think they refer back to it some, but you'd think that, like, let's say Elrond in Lord of the Rings would have grappled with very similar themes. You just never hear about it. So it is an interesting take on a very like common trope and setting. But
that sounds interesting. Do they get into like One of the things I've thought about and has been talked about a lot with immortality is like the inability to have new experiences at a certain point, right? Something we can hardly even fathom because the lifespan's so short. But when you're talking about being alive for, multiple millennia, basically, right?
Yeah.
You run out of new things to do, right?
For sure.
And so do they go into that in this particular show or?
I don't know.
I'm one episode in.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think fascinating. So, okay. But I'll pick it back up. So, okay, Summertime Rendering and Frieren Journey's End. I'll stick with those ones. I need to just focus. Need to focus up.
Yeah.
Stop trying all these different things.
Andrea said, I think I'll do this. Let's see how this works. Yeah. Andrea said, this is why I usually watch anime shows in pairs, because too much of the same energy, either wacky, zany comedy or dark, heavy drama, gets tiring after too many episodes.
See, I think I am getting to the point where I understand exactly what she's talking about.
Yep.
When we first started doing this, I didn't understand how you guys juggle 5, 6, 7 different shows at one time. That is not how I've been conditioned. I've been conditioned. I have one show that I'm watching. I watch it once a week, right? That's kind of all I've got time for. I'll sit down for an hour and Rachel and I will, watch that episode, right? And we play through it. Netflix has changed that to some degree, but for the most part, I still am used to just watching one show at a time. And when that one show feels like it was only 15 minutes, it feels very empty. So I think I understand not only in the fatigue of watching the what do you call it, the anime made for young boys, what's the name
Shonen.
of that? Shonen. Just watching shonen after shonen after shonen, right? And now getting the taste of something else, something just different. I see where Andrea is coming from, wanting that variety and how you have the ability to consume very different story types.
Yep. Well, and I think also to Andrea's point, sometimes, I don't know if this is the point she's making exactly, but I get kind of burned out on certain types of shows where, like, I forgot to mention this. I watched like half of an episode of Blue. It's like a wizard show. Blue something. Blue
Lock. I mean, there's that one. There's a Blue Period.
No, it's like a
Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Blue Exorcist. Oh, Blue Exorcist.
Thank you, Andrea. Yes. So I think Andrea watches the show, but I watched like 10, 15 minutes of it. And I was like, no, not for me at this moment in time. Like,
right.
The main character, it just didn't pull me. And I knew I could tell pretty quick. I was like, nope, I just don't. Sorry, Andrea, but it just didn't draw me in.
Because it is good, but if you're just had too much of that, I don't all the time watch multiple shows doing this, maybe like Andrea does, but definitely going back and forth between them. When I'm done with one, it's time for a new thing. And, it is a newer thing for me to watch these shows every week as well. Like most of my history watching anime, other than like coming home to watch Dragon Ball or something, was the thing is already out and I buy the DVD.
Sure.
And that's just the way it is. And now obviously it's changed, but even like for a while then things would come over here on a streaming service and they would just all be available because the delay between when it actually came out in Japan and when it came out here was pretty sizable. Now it's like same time. Now it's literally simulcast for a lot of things. So we get to that same sort of experience that they do in Japan and watching it week to week. And it just is, when you look at the bigger picture, it's a relatively new thing.
Yeah.
So
there's almost seems like there's something to be said for doing it that way, though, because I feel like if I was like had to order a show online and like wait for it to be shipped to me, I'd have more excitement about it. So by the time I actually watched it, I think maybe I would appreciate it more. Versus some of these shows I try and I'm like, I just flip it on because there's so much at my disposal to choose from, and I don't like this, so I try something else. Where if I had research shows and was like waiting for months for the show to come out so I could watch it. It's just a different experience. I think that's kind of nice in some ways. It's almost too much option, too much choice right now. It's overwhelming.
I agree. I wonder if the masses will ever feel that way too. Like I definitely, when you have it's like growing up as a kid and you get a game system and one game, and that's the game you have. You're going to play it a lot, and you do then appreciate it and find out more about it, and like you spend time with it, and it matters. But if you get a system and someone just gives you 40 games, what if someone gave you a game system and they give you 200 games?
Right.
Just, bam, go for it. I mean, you're gonna bounce between them. Like hopefully you can be like, okay, this one is great. I love it. And you're going to sit down.
Sure.
But like before you know it, on to the next one. Well, that's what we do today with like a service like Game Pass or PlayStation Plus or whatever. Sure. It's just at your disposal immediately is hundreds of choices. And on one hand, some people think this sort of thing is going to diminish the quality in the market. Like this is specifically more of a game kind of related conversation, but I think the same maybe we can see would be a possibility for the anime field as well. If you get this idea that you're a platform holder and the way you get more people is to have a plethora of content, we win because we have more content, then the pressure is sort of off on any one thing to be spectacular. Sure. They all need to be good enough for you to be invested. And so, Netflix had that kind of, I don't know, gave that impression earlier. Like they would just approve everything, just give money and approve any kind of show ever and get it on their service regardless because we need content. Yeah. And so I don't know. I just don't know how it's going to play out. But when the product is no longer focused on a singular thing and that thing must survive on its own and be the best, or just blend in and be good enough.
That catches up. That model catches up eventually. Not to go too heavy-handed, but I mean, you've seen that sort of thing happen in our news media. In social media, right? Where it stopped being about quality news reporting and it started being about just getting the fastest story, the quickest, fact checking be damned, right? Like we need to be the ones releasing the story first, even if it's not 100% accurate, even if we don't have the details, we've got to be it because there are so many channels, because it went from, a nightly news service to 24-hour news, and then 24-hour news turned into internet news, right? Where you're fighting for clicks. Social media is the same way. You're fighting for clicks constantly. You're not fighting for quality. You're fighting for quantity. And I think the gaming industry is seeing that. At least I'm seeing that in the gaming industry. And at a certain point, people will be fed up. A lot of crap is still crap. Doesn't matter if there's a lot of it. And if anime goes that route as well, and it's just a lot of crap, but nobody's actually sticking with any of it because it's not quality, you'll see that change as well. I don't know if we're going down that path or not because I'm still new to this. And I'm still eating up old stuff. Right? That's the thing that anime might have that gaming doesn't necessarily have. I mean, you still have gaming emulators, right? Where you can go back and play the classics and the things that you loved. But as far as like online versions of those, the servers go down. You don't have access to those things when they're online anymore. So it doesn't have that same kind of inherent ability to please everybody, even with the folks with rose-tinted glasses like myself on certain things. But anime might not have that problem as long as they keep the rights to it, they being Crunchyroll in this example.
Well, I mean, I have noticed there's a ton to sift through, but I can't say that it's like you're sifting through a bunch of crap.
That's good.
Maybe a lot of them are really good. It's just I just go with like what seems to pique my interest and what seems up my alley, but they all might be quite good. I just know that like I'm never going to be able to consume all this content. So I'm really trying to kind of choosy with what I decide to try and what I decide to continue watching. But it all might be good in its own merit. I don't really know.
You had disconnected briefly, I think, when John and I were talking about this, but we were talking about like it's the book cover thing. Like, you know, I picked up Overtake because it had the racing book cover on it. So I'm immediately drawn to it. Turns out that there's an excellent story attached to it as well. Yeah. And so there's a lot of these anime stories that are fantastic underneath. And maybe that is the way that you just end up funneling in, is based off of your current interests. Yeah. Right.
Sure. Yep. So, yep. Absolutely. Yes. That's a great point. Yeah. Yeah. I did get kicked off earlier. I'm not sure what that was about. All of a sudden it just like dropped the thread as weird. Anyway.
No worries.
Oh, John, I was going to tell you, speaking of video gaming, Mike too, but I did end up getting a Switch now.
Nice.
Well, we ordered one got one for Christmas for the girls or for our family.
Santa's coming. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, I thought about taking you up on your offer, but I was like, I want like a new one they can like unwrap and unbox and stuff. But.
Did you get Mario Kart?
Yes.
Okay. I'm putting together a Mario Kart stream.
Sorry?
Depends on he was asking if it comes with it. It depends on the version you get.
Oh, sure.
There is a bundle, but
we bought the bundle that had Mario Kart was one of the old Switches, like the original Switch, and the bundle, the Black Friday bundle. We did order on Black Friday. Or maybe it was maybe it was Thanksgiving night. It doesn't matter. The bundle that came with the OLED Switch was on sale for Black Friday was Super Smash Brothers. So
nice.
We bought Mario Kart separate, and then we also bought another bundle that was Mario Party with 2 more Joy-Cons, which was like bundle for that game plus 2 more Joy-Cons for like $100, which I was like, okay, that's a good deal too. So we have the big 3 for what I think Dana and the girls will really want to play, and I'll probably get some games to play just for me, like more adult games.
I mean, if you want time sync and you like Studio Ghibli movies, then the Zelda games, fantastic.
Sure.
I mean, Breath of the Wild and then Tears of the Kingdom. Here's my thing. I would probably, this is maybe controversial, everybody can say, I would probably just play Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
And not Breath of the Wild. Okay. Because you definitely wouldn't go Breath of the Wild and then immediately in Tears of the Kingdom. It would be too much. It's too much of that. Tears of the Kingdom is a perfection of Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
So going and playing Breath of the Wild and then playing Tears of the Kingdom, you would be like, wow, this is a lot better. But there's a lot the same there too.
Sure.
Really, Breath of the Wild should be enjoyed when it came out in 2017. And then you have like 5 years in between, and then you play Tears of the Kingdom.
Sure.
So, but my point is, story-wise, visually, and there's a lot of inspiration clearly taken from some Ghibli work.
Okay. Cool.
In those. So
I played through one of the Zelda games with my 3DS a couple years ago and loved it. So I mean, I've obviously grown up playing Zelda here and there. It's that's great. And I found an article that was like 10 Switch games for adults that, because it's so much known as a really kid-friendly gaming system, which it is, but it's also, there's apparently a lot of games that are more adult themed, adult geared.
I think it's just the best system.
Sorry?
I think it's the best system.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love it.
In my opinion, it just has like the most variety, is that portable factor, and it's the only place you get Nintendo games. So it's
absolutely. So we're excited about it. Last night I was like, I told Dana, I was like, maybe we could I could unbox this and then box it back up and they're real nice again for Santa. And we were like, let's it's for the whole family. So I was like, we gotta wait till Santa brings it on Christmas.
Nice. Yeah. Well, all I'm saying with that, again, the reason I ask is because we're going to do a Mario Kart stream. I just wanted to have enough people. So we've got Mike, we got you, we got MJ.
On the show? We're going to race on the show in real time?
Yeah. So we'll do this and then we'll go and be like on the side, and the big screen will be me playing Mario Kart.
Yep.
But then so you'll have to call in.
Yep.
And maybe have like an earbud.
Sure.
In your mic or whatever here, and then an earbud in your Switch or something like that.
Sure. But we won't see us. You'll just see our racing screen.
No, we'll see you.
Oh, you'll
only see my racing screen.
Oh, okay.
So when I overtake all of you and you're just, you'll see that you're way behind me.
No, I was going to say that's the best way to do it, John, because you'll be behind all of us and you'll get the view of what we're all doing throughout the whole time. I mean, it's great. It's perfect. I love it.
I mean, I'm excited to play the racing game against a real life racer and demolish him, because that's
okay.
You'll be throwing lots of blue shells there, bud.
Couple clarifying questions.
Okay.
When is this taking place?
I'm hoping to do it like this week.
Oh yeah. See, I won't have it until after Christmas.
Oh yeah, that's right. Darn it.
Maybe if it goes well, I would love to do it on the next time you do it.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm hoping it goes well. Technically works out fine and people like it, and then we'll do one every other week or however often people can manage. And
I would like to request one to happen in like mid-January, so I have a couple weeks to practice.
Absolutely.
You can practice with us. You can practice live on stream.
Right,
that's fine.
I will say that when I was in college, I played just a really inappropriate amount of Double Dash on the GameCube. So
nice. Yeah. That's good.
I'm no slouch, but we'll see. I've never played the Switch version.
Yeah.
It all plays the same. You'll jump right in.
I think so. Okay, cool.
Yep.
I was gonna ask one other question. Oh,
gotta get Nintendo Switch Online.
Could Dana play as well? Potentially. She's also a big Mario Kart fan. Or are you trying to keep it only? Well, she's been on your other pod before.
No. That's
MJ
she can play. I mean, I'm thinking about if both of you playing at once.
Right.
If you're talking about that, you'd have to hook it up to the TV. You guys can play split screen.
Yeah.
And then if one of you wants to be on camera or however you want to finagle it, my only concern would be you'd have to keep the volume pretty low if you don't have like a long headphone thing.
Sure.
That kind of. So absolutely, we'll play with it. We'll see what happens.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. Logistically, I didn't know if it would work. I knew she's obviously welcome if she wanted to come, but. That's why I look church.
Andrea, I can't touch that. I mean,
Andrea, can one of these gaming challenges be a knife off in Borderlands?
I'm ready to lose, I guess. I'm up for anything. John knows I play games I suck at.
Andrea knows that. So Andrea's husband, Chris, who, many of us know and tolerate. Kidding. He's one of my best friends, obviously. Just he's in there. He introduced me to Borderlands, so I played a lot of Borderlands over at their house, and I played a lot since then. So I would welcome a Borderlands knife off. Except Andrea gave my old Xbox to Tony, so yeah, she'll know. We weren't using it; it was like packed away in the basement. When I got my new TV, I wanted to like clean up my whole look in my room, and so our Xbox never really fit on our bookshelf. It was kind of like sticking off a little bit, and I wasn't ever gaming, and we were using it as a glorified Blu-ray player, and it was just like so.
There's probably a Borderlands collection on the Switch.
Perfect,
so.
great.
Graphics seem like it would play in perfectly to the Switch style. So
yep. Speaking of style, I've got very stylish looking manga that I need to talk about before we get into Jujutsu Kaisen. So it's a very distinct style.
Can we rename this section just like John's Manga Corner when we, and just
we need a little transition
up there, like
wipe here,
like in a little John's Manga Corner, do. And it's just like, hello there, I'm here to tell you about the John's manga for the week.
I'm just gonna take the clip of you doing that. And then put that
perfect.
Love it.
So Demons of the Shadow Realm. This is by the creator of Full Metal Alchemist. So anyone that's watched or seen that will immediately recognize the art style as being hers. So, oh no, Andrea says she's got to. Speaking of sad, I got to run. So yeah. See you later, Andrea. Hope you can make it, next week. Yeah, next week. So thanks for being here, though. But yeah, I finally read volume 2, and this is clear, fully in the shonen genre. Okay. So like if you're looking for not that, this is really in that. But I've enjoyed it a lot. I liked Full Metal Alchemist, kind of both versions when they came out in the anime form. I never read the manga, so I was like, well, this is brand new. Only volume 2 is out. Yeah. I might as well give it a shot. And I'm liking it a lot so far. It's a good, fun read. There's enough like depth. There's intrigue. What's interesting too is like I had twins, and now there's like twin brother and sister. That's what really this was about, and how they're kind of like split at birth, or were they, and the odds that they're that are against each other, and figuring out what's going on there. Yeah. And these people in this world, the rules seem simpler than another show we're watching right now, where basically you can make a pact sort of with these demons of the shadow realm or whatever, and they have different abilities, and you're kind of their master, and they they have to protect you at all costs or whatever. So
okay, cool.
But our protagonist doesn't have that kind of thing. Yeah, you're right. It's that kind of thing. It's from what it appears, there's not such a heavy toll that there is in Chainsaw Man. Okay. Going on. That's, to me, the interesting thing about Chainsaw Man is like what glass cannons everyone is. Like they pay a big price for taking this power and living this life. And to my understanding in this, it's not that kind of case. This is right now a little more friendly than a Chainsaw Man. Sure. I will say if Full Metal Alchemist, though, is any indicator, I would anticipate some serious drama at some point. Sure. So
that seems very cool.
But yeah. So Demons of the Shadow Realm, volume 2 by Square Enix manga. Pick it up. Volume 3 is coming pretty soon. So
what determines the DAE spelling style versus just DE?
I wonder that too.
I don't know. I don't know if this is Daemons. It could be Daemons, not Demons.
I'll have to wait till the anime comes out to see.
When they say it in Japanese and I don't understand it anyway.
I said, I guess we'll have to wait till the anime comes out to see.
Oh, yeah. No,
if they ever make one.
Maybe our literature expert just left the chat.
Oh, shoot.
We could have asked Andrea what the case may be. So, Phil, you watched Full Metal Alchemist?
I've watched...
I think you said it was on your list at some point.
Several episodes.
Okay.
Short. I think I was like shortly beyond where that one girl got turned into that really sad,
that's
tragic
right. Yes,
dog.
Yes.
So that was like, whoa. But I watched that kind of early on in my anime education.
Yeah, journey.
So I was like, ooh, well, this is a lot to take. And so I think I kind of was like, get a little pause and never went back to it. But
yep.
Okay. But I am aware that it's like one of the most popular and beloved anime series ever. Classic. So I do need to go back and watch it and finish it. Certainly, at least Brotherhood.
All right. Well, something that we are currently watching and hopefully we'll finish. Hopefully, all of us here will get through it. Jujutsu Kaisen, season 2. We're in the middle of this journey here. Episode 17 and 18 of this season. Okay, so let's start here. Mike, you had said earlier, we've been talking about pacing and all this sort of thing. So why don't we can take the time now to elaborate? We've had these 2 episodes. Do you think it's gone far enough? Any of them? How do you like our story progress?
Can we sorry, John, can we do like just a high level recap of 17 and 18? Because they are blending for me.
Yeah, agreed.
So thanks to Phil, we are off the part 1, part 2 weekly thing. So, all right.
That's what I thought. Okay. Yep.
So we covered part 2
Definitely
of the one of Thunderclap, and that episode we really saw the culmination of blanking on his name all of a sudden now, King Demon.
Sukuna.
Yeah, Sukuna. We saw the culmination of what he was doing in terms of his battle. He took out Volcano Guy, and he had some servant that was there. We found out she's preparing things. He's like, don't mess up the preparation. So Sukuna has a plan, and he has people helping him. Yep. And whatever that is, we don't know. So that's kind of the big thing there. And then we get the whole idea that Megami is very injured, as he would be after fighting Toji.
Yep.
And he gets a sucker slashed in the back by that dude with the ponytail.
Little worm.
He's one of my least favorite characters in all of anime that I've watched. I hate characters like that. I hate it. I mean, they're meant to be like the heel, but still.
Yes.
It's a step further.
So we see that Megami is sort of pulling the last ditch effort sort of thing, I guess. And he releases this crazy thing. And so this is the big story element of this episode. We learn that Sukuna has a plan and assistance, and we learn that the reason that the Zenin clan and Gojo's clan are at odds is because of an inherited ability that Megami actually possesses that could potentially defeat / rival Gojo's ability.
That was a
so
cool
we
reveal.
see this whole 10 shadow thing, and that's that episode.
Yes.
I love the little teeny cutscene where Gojo's we're actually you're just as powerful as me, kind of.
Yeah,
you could be.
Well, he's got the potential, right?
Right.
Yeah. That was the.
That was cool.
All right. Yeah.
Then it went a little off the rails from there, but
Sukuna finally defeats this guy, crazy battle, which really came out of nowhere. And then the next episode is Itadori getting himself back, and dealing with the guilt that he has now, that everything that his body just did flashes back before him.
Yeah, that's
all
wild.
The destruction, the mayhem, and the people that he's murdered.
Yep.
And then the swan song of Nanami.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah. All right. So
Mike's all right.
Let me tear this shit down. This all has the potential to be incredibly epic. And there is an underlying, I can see where manga readers might really, really jive with this, because there's an underlying deep cut to what is happening here. And these last 2 episodes, I think, have failed to bring that to anime viewers, because the battle between whatever this 10th shadow form thing that has been summoned is, the battle with that and Sukuna, that was so hard to follow that it might as well have not happened. I don't care. It was, you have this titan of legend, right? That nobody has ever been able to tame, right? Against the king of curses, who is not quite a curse. He's something different.
Yeah.
But he slaps everything, and he's having a fight with this thing, and they're going toe to toe. Now, if I remember correctly, this thing, it adapts. Sukuna calls out that it adapts to whatever it is. So it was adapting to his unreal power set. Except if they didn't tell you that blatantly, you'd have no freaking clue. Yeah. Because it was so messy. I'm not completely blind to the current events that are happening with the studio right now and the animation teams and whatnot. We are suffering the consequences of that situation, I think, because this was just too hard. The explanation, I mean, there's even the explanation of what these powers were the weight did not feel it quite enough. I actually went back and watched this one a second time to try and understand the whole Megami pulling the annoying little brat thing into his spell so that this thing would kill him and then dissipate or something along those lines. Like that is even a little bit hard to follow, even with that description. But mostly what I'm talking about is the animation of the fight. It just and the problem is that was the core of the episode. Right. Was this fight. And so when that part feels let down, it's a shame. And then he busts out the fire arrow and smokes him before he can adapt to it, which is sick. That's a cool concept, except I didn't feel it because I didn't really see it. It just kind of flashed and was gone. And then the episode following that, there is heavy weight to this. But I'll be blunt, like the Nanami thing, that felt like it was just, I don't know if it's a timing issue or what it is. If it was just an excuse to get Itadori in the room with Mojito, that sucks. Yeah. It felt like we were bringing Nanami back, which I didn't want. I'm actually pleased that he is not coming back. That gives weight to it.
I do feel like he is actually dead this time. Just for
it sure seems like it. Yeah, but like, why? What? Yeah. Two episodes later, we see him stumbling around, only to get his fever vision of being on the beach, only to get killed anyways.
Yeah, I don't like that actually.
I don't either.
I was secretly a little pleased partially because I like to be right with my predictions, and partially this guy really like Nanami. It's like, he is back, yes. Yeah. And then he's just like, he's like, he's burned badly, so he's like delirious, and he's like fighting on impulse and instinct, and he's like hallucinating, and it was like weird and inconsequential ultimately, like to your point. And then Mojito just blasts him. So I was like, oh, that sucks. I don't know. He never even unwrapped his cleaver, John.
No, he didn't. And part of that is the timing. If this would have happened at the end of the Jogo episode, it would have made more sense.
Yeah. Right.
I agree.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
So weird. Yeah, that's my take. There is some heavy-handedness. I mean, the moment where Itadori, I'm not taking everything away. The moment when Itadori comes to and Sukuna is just such an evil bastard that he sits him in front of the crater with the screaming sounds of all of the people, the weight of the murder that he has just caused, the fact that Gojo let him live has led to all of this unnecessary death and destruction, right? And the fact that Itadori has to live with that because he believed he could control this situation, and he comes to realize he really can't. No, he can't, because he doesn't understand the depth of the situation that he is in, the strength of these curses and what's coming to. It's not just about him being able to control Sukuna in his body. It's about, can you control these outside forces that are trying to get Sukuna out as well? And he can't. Right. Yep. And he didn't know that, and his ignorance has led to all of this. So now he's got to deal with that, and he feels responsible for it. That's incredible. That's great storytelling. Yeah. Except that is 5 minutes of a 15-minute episode. There's not enough time spent with that. And then you get a fucking shitty fight. The fight with him and Mojito is shitty. The spacing is garbage, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're like fighting in a closet. It's just like hard to even see what's going on. Also, I would point out that now would be a great time when he's fighting. This is probably a great time in the series. He's like at this point where he's like to your point, Mike. He's like has all this trauma and he's like trying to reconcile with like everything that Sukuna did with his body. And this would be a great time for like what his specific powers are going to be, like how he uses like cursed energy to manifest, like in this fight to the death with a really powerful adversary after he just had like a really traumatic event happen to him. Like, can we get he seems to be able to like pull from this deeper reserve in his fights. It happened against the Blood Demon too, Blood Guy, even though he ended up losing that fight. He like can like fight better or like do more or stronger. But like they've mentioned a couple different times in the show that he doesn't have, like, people don't usually get this far without having like a specific style, right? Like most of them have. Is he ever going to have one? Could we introduce that at some point? That'd be cool. I remember thinking that as I was watching this, like, when is he are they gonna reveal more about him as a fighter? But I don't know. Maybe that's not that important.
It would be nice. I mean, the problem with these last couple episodes, and you could even make the same argument for the Sukuna versus Jogo fight. Now that part was cool too, but when the primary makeup of your episode and the primary mode of telling the story is through a battle, that battle has to look good. It has to be good. And these battles have not felt good. In seasons past and in earlier episodes, the battles were they were dynamic, they were artistic, they were fantastic. And so it's okay to sit down for 15, 20 minutes and just watch a cool battle happen. But as soon as you drop that ball, now you don't have good story and you don't have a good battle. So you got nothing and you didn't give yourself enough time to do anything with it.
Yep. Remember that battle in season 1 with Yuji and Toto and the plant curse, like out in the field with like when he introduced the classic. That was so good.
But we keep mentioning that one because that was the good one. That was the really good fight. That was a highlight of season 1.
True. Okay.
There's a lot of other in between stuff that is just less memorable. And I agree with both you. And I think we're suffering from. There's often in a manga, a fight can be a few panels. A lot of times fights are very drawn out in the show. I mean, obviously you adapt it to something that's visual like this, that's, animated. How's that battle really go? It's like, so I get that. But we're suffering from the idea that like they're having fun pairing up all these people and seeing who comes out on top. They've kind of set this situation where we can have unlimited cool battles between all of our characters in the show. And it's like a song, a good song starts out like kind of ramps up, but then it comes down again before it like has a pace to it. So it's not all 100% volume all the time. If it's 100% volume all the time, that's just zero. That's just your base. You're waiting for something to go up further,
right,
or to come back down.
Yep.
And so I like a lot of these fights. I think that if they've been in a different setting, if you put them in season 1, I think these fights are much better. Again, this show is really well directed. We do have a lot of unique situations, whether it's the blood user and going into the bathroom stall. We have the confinement of the space now in this last one and fighting in the elevator. You have the large scale battles like wrecking the city. You have the one taking place in someone's domain that's then broken into. So you have a variety of like powers and situations and places, and I think those are good. But when it's back to back to back to back to back, I think that's where they're losing their weight and impact.
But specifically, I mean, just talking about these two, and I might pull in the third most recent episode. I'm just talking about these two. These last two have felt sloppy in comparison. The bathroom stall fight was cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the problem with that one to some degree was like, it feels like they're pulling powers and amplifying powers out of a hat a little bit, but we already talked about that. The visuals, and like you said, the directing of that was excellent. And season 2 has been that way. The beach domain was really, really cool. It's these last two. You're talking about this citywide scape. First of all, we already had a citywide battle just an episode ago.
Yep.
Right?
That's
Where is this city? Like, my God.
Right.
It was level.
Shibuya's done. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But this one, things were flashing so fast because they were supposed to be highlighting this unlimited technique, and he's showing his domain, his unique domain. Right. We can't talk about these two episodes without talking about Sukuna's not domain expansion, but domain expansion. It's like this limitless right style, which is cool. But as a visual treatment, instead, all you get is like just slashes all across the screen.
Sure.
There's nothing to soak up there. And maybe as a manga reader, you have time to dissect the image that is in front of you, right? And soak it up a little bit more and go from panel to panel and absorb what's happening. But in this anime, and with the way that they executed it, I didn't get that. It just looked like a mangled, mushy mess to me. And then that was the same thing with the Mojito, and I know that's not his name, but Mojito and Itadori fight. You're trying to show claustrophobia here. I get what you're trying to do when he soul manipulated the one thing and was like pushing them up against the wall.
Yeah.
You're trying to show me claustrophobia, but Itadori's unfazed by it, so it doesn't freaking matter, right? And then you bust through on the other side. That was kind of neat. And you go into the elevator, except the angles that you're choosing for the elevator, they don't make sense. They don't flow. He is suddenly looking up and Mojito's about to come down through the elevator, and then he's holding on to the cables and the elevator's falling. Those things did not work. And it makes me feel lost. It's like the Titan Mech episode, Mechamaru. When that fight was happening, the scale is all over the place, which means I don't know if the fight is happening here or way over there. I don't know if Mechamaru is 630 feet tall right now or 22 feet tall. And so it takes away from all of that. And these two episodes really did that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't deny that so far, every episode, I have enjoyed the ride, but it does feel like kind of a music video, you know, like it's a lot of fun, you know, it's flashy and I think I do agree that we're missing an impact and a focus. Like, imagine we'd had the season up until, you know, so Gojo is trapped. Oh shit, mad dash, everyone, we need to try to save Gojo at this point or we're done. In that, while that hustle's happening, Jogo and those girls feed a bunch of fingers to Itadori, and there needs to be a moment then like we see his eyes flash and we pan back and basically it's apocalypse. There's a giant burst and then he's rising into the air and all the people that are on the scene that have been trying to get to Gojo underground are like, oh shit, Sukuna's out. I hear the choral music rising as Sukuna is coming up, flames behind him, and he just starts Xing people. Like, they're all there, and they're trying to, like, domain expansion and run, and he is just chopping people down. And then we eventually get, like, maybe 4 of the extra powerful people. They're able to manage to stop some of the carnage, while fake Geto is like, we have to get Gojo in this box out of here or our whole plan's going to be done, because in some sort of thing here we're all going to die and the box is going to be broken open or something like that. And it would be immediately you've failed. The heroes have failed to rescue Gojo, and now Itadori is taken over and Sukuna's out, and we've lost half our people. And you have to hold out long enough that you hope that Itadori can reclaim control, and maybe we get an inner battle that we go into and see him fighting to take his body back. Now, I don't know where the thing goes, but it would be way more focused. We wouldn't have this battle between these two, and then these two, and then these two, every episode in a different place at a different, like it would mean like we're driving the story someplace and this is the threat we're dealing with. Yeah. And it would just align because we don't know where we are. What level is everybody at? No idea. How is everybody stumbling into everybody? How is anyone alive when the whole city is just collapsing? Like how far apart did everybody get? We have no concept of that. So bring it into the real threat that's in front of you now. It's Sukuna.
Yeah, I agree with both of you about all of it. I've enjoyed it, and also it's felt messy and feel a little lost. Just generally with the overall storyline. So like you guys both said it well.
It's like those stories in comics where they have to come up with an excuse for all your favorite heroes to fight one another.
Yes.
It feels like we're in that where we need to have we're not so worried about the story. We know where the story is going to go, but we need to have this good excuse to gather everybody together and have everybody individually duke it out. No group battles, it's just everybody that see how their powers all play against one another. Yeah. Because it's fun.
Right.
But that's what we could do on the side. Like who would win in this battle? This person. Right. We don't need to see every battle.
No. Unless, like I think I mentioned this on an episode of the past, but unless they're intentionally trying to make us feel like it's messy and confusing, because that's the parallel process for the characters, how they're feeling like, there's this crisis going on, and I don't know what this person's doing or what level they're even on, or I'm just doing this.
Well, right,
This, I mean, so maybe
I'm sure there's some of that.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, but it is not ideal as a viewer. I don't know. I don't prefer that. I'd like to have it a little more focused and put together.
It does feel like they're trying to get all these different fights in because none of these people are going to be around. I have to imagine that in season 3, it's going to become a much more intimate story with just a couple of characters. Because why else would you go through showing us the Nanami situation, right? Why else do we need to have all of these little side fights? If they're still going to be around, then you can show us their fights and their powers in the future.
Right.
So it feels like you're wiping them all out.
Yeah.
Which I would be okay with because this cast has gotten incredibly large, incredibly quickly.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, I still think I guess what kind of bums again, I just want more of it and like them being able to like tell more of the stories and not necessarily take things that we've seen out. But we still haven't seen, much from like Panda and the cursed speech user and some of those season and Toto and some of those other season 1 characters. And I can tell you how the next couple episodes at least are going to go. There's going to be the flashback of Mojito and Hammer Girl's fight, and then there's going to be the finish of Yuji and Mojito's fight in some capacity. They have to keep fighting. I mean, they're in the middle of their fight. That'll probably take 2 or 3 episodes just wrapping those things up. So,
and then we have a fight coming with Nene or whatever, and Ghetto potentially. Yeah. That one's there.
That's going to take those things right there are going to take us through the end of the season practically. So I don't know.
But it does seem like we're just trying to stretch it then. We're trying, it's, I don't know what the overlay looks like, but like the best part of the season really has been that beginning backstory bit because it was concise and they knew they needed to tell this backstory in like, these are the episodes, this is what has to happen, and we tell it.
Yeah.
And it is part of the problem with a ongoing, continuing for I don't know how long sort of series is you lose that you know, those acts that you would have in a movie or in a short series or something like that, where you can really pace out like, oh, okay, here's the beginning, here's where you ramp up the threat, here's where the hero feels despondent, and you know, and then they have to find motivation to overcome it, and then you get to the penultimate episode with the crazy thing, and then there's the down on the, you know, like it's a pacing and it's a structure. And when you have something that just kind of keeps going, if you don't do those arcs, but that's what this is supposed to be. This is the Shibuya incident arc. So where's that proper sort of spacing and pacing, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's easy to forget what the critical, dire situation was for all of this. I mean, remember how you felt? Remember the excitement or the concern or the like mind blow feeling you had when Geto turns out to not be Geto, and you're like, oh my God. And then remember how you felt when that stuns Gojo to a point where this damn near omnipotent being in this world is reduced to a box. Right? There's this sudden power, and now he's gone. Like those feelings, the feeling of Itadori being hit with the weight of what has just happened when he wasn't in control. Those are the things that make this show good. And they need to put more time into that. They need to focus on that. And if you're going to give me a bunch of these fights, give them to me in all one episode so that you can get to those impactful moments again. Because that is what separates the show. Listen, Dragon Ball Z it gets a lot of shit for the fight animation because it's a lot of just repetitive, right? Sure. And that was super successful because the fight animation only can carry a show so far.
Sure.
There's not enough unique qualities of a fight to give. They're trying to do that with this, but then you end up with this disjointed fighting system that has no control because you're trying to make everything unique and crazy. So get past it. Just get past it. Like John, the story, the images that you laid out, you know, I haven't read the manga, so I don't know what the real impact is here. But that to me sounds so much cooler than what we've dragged along for, because it hits those impactful points like we're talking about.
Yeah.
I got chills saying it. So, I mean,
I got chills hearing it. I was like, dude, this guy knows something.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
But that's the problem. That's going to be your headcanon. They're not going to deliver that. You're going to be disappointed. I learned this with Demon Slayer.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, taking lessons from one of the best action animes ever, Dragon Ball, is not a bad thing to do. You know, like the idea, you know, with Dragon Ball often is you do have a central bad guy. So like so even if you do like Cell Saga, even if you go and you have a tournament and it's like basically one at a time trying to take out Cell, you're still going for Cell. You're going for one person.
Well, and they had the androids at that time as well. But those side characters, and you know, it started off as the Android Saga, but the Android Saga led directly into the Cell Saga, right?
And Cell was ramped up it gave you an emotional impact because Cell was so powerful and so dangerous that it made the androids have to essentially side with the good guys or essentially become consumed then. And so it was like, you just made the threat and you just, oh my God, we couldn't deal with the androids.
Right.
This Cell guy came and just sucked them up.
Right.
Like they're nothing, you know? So you put the power things in perspective, made your threat like a real problem. And even Dragon Ball, it does a whole bunch of the repeated punches, but each episode still gives you time to breathe. Like you'll have a fight happening and all of a sudden, you know, the characters think they're going to die, and then Frieza stabs Krillin through the gut.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Krillin's going to die. And you have, you just, and those moments of people staring each other down, like those are overblown and too much, but it's giving you that time to breathe, to anticipate the bloodshed, the pummeling that's about to occur, as opposed to just for 15, 20 minutes and then credits.
Well, and okay, so
too long. Fights are too long.
Sorry, Phil, I don't want to talk.
No, you're good.
There's some parallels, Android Cell to Jujutsu Kaisen, right? So take the androids, draw them as a parallel to Jogo, okay? There's this sudden big bad. Now we realize how powerful, how immense Jogo's power level really is. We can't deal with him. He just wiped out 3 or 4 of our most important people. And then Sukuna comes in and is like, you're my toy. I'm going to play with you because I think it's fun. Yeah. That's Cell to the androids, right? Except Cell to the androids, when that happened, now Cell is the big bad. Now we're focused on him. With Jujutsu Kaisen, you get done with Jogo, and then they're like, oh, now here's this mystical 10th shadow thing that no one's ever been able to tame. You get to fight that now. And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. Like, that doesn't matter now. Tell me how that shadow form or 10th shadow thing has any impact or any bearing on anything. It was supposed to be legendary.
Right.
It's inconsequential, which would be cool on its own if we didn't have the Jogo situation. But when you butt the two up against each other, one of them becomes pointless.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. And like the shadow thing seems like it was wasted in the sense that like it is so cool. And then what a cool ability from Megumi. And it obviously impressed and has the interest of Sukuna that he kept Megumi alive. But why couldn't we have kind of heard about this before? Again, Megumi's powers are interesting where it was just like he just summons dogs and then it evolved rapidly into this. And it's like we should have known a little bit, like be talking about, hey, there's this one thing I cannot tame, I will not touch, I will not bring it out, and this would have been a good thing for Gojo to have mentioned before. Like, we all know about that. Like and so that to be like a final trump card,
right?
But here is just ends up being a throwaway in a battle that, like you say, we lose our sense of scale and scope and place and everything because, how isn't this city already completely gone?
Well, and he didn't even bring that out to fight Sukuna. He brought it out to kill this little dweeb.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. I was like, because my perception was that he was like, I think he said sorry Itadori. And to me, I read that as like, he's going to let this thing out because he's dying and he's going to kill this guy that's going to kill him for sure. But he's not going to be able to bring it back in.
Right.
Sure. It's out.
Right.
And to me, it was like, on this guy, are you going to like damn potentially everyone else?
Right.
To have to try to take him down or whatever it didn't seem like a selfless act.
Right.
And maybe I'm reading it wrong, but that's the way it seemed to me because he can't tame it. He can't control it. So he can't bring it back.
So the whole situation, I think the spell is broken if both of them die. That's why he needed to pull little dweeby guy into this, because he knew that if he summoned this thing and he's lying dead in front of it, it would kill him right away. The moment it kills him right away, the spell is broken. I don't know where it goes or what happens to it, but let's just say it dissolves. That's why he had to do this ritual that brought that guy into it, so that even if the being kills Megumi, it will still be there and it will see the next guy and it'll kill him. And then once they're both dead, fizzle away, I guess.
Okay. Sure.
And that's why Sukuna needed to keep Megumi alive, because he wanted to fight this thing. He wanted to tame this thing. He wanted to, or maybe not tame it, but defeat it.
Sure.
Because he knew it would kill him.
Or he just like, he maybe knew that he could kill these two and the thing would go away and that would be much easier. But he's interested in Megumi's powers.
Right.
He said something to the effect of like, I have use for you or something. Yes. I assumed I was directing that at him. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, a good conversation. I like hearing what you guys had to say about it. I still am enjoying the ride every week.
Yeah.
I still enjoy it. I just,
Definitely.
it should be tightened up. I'd make lots of changes. And I agree with a lot of things that you're saying that should be changed and would ultimately lead to more impact, especially with like one of my favorite characters, Nanami, being gone now. Right.
Yeah.
That should have been more emotional. I did like it. I did like them. Mojito was there, and like let's have a talk. Like they've shared some battles before. He addressed that or whatever. So it's not kind of interesting that he's there, and he fought him with Itadori before, and so he's so there's a a full circle thing here.
Yeah, true.
But yeah. Okay. Well, any final words on these seasons or these 2 episodes?
I've said plenty. I'll let Phil take it.
No, I think I kind of cover everything. I hope. What episode are we on here? 17, 18, something like that?
Yeah, 17 and 18 we just did.
Okay. 24 in a season.
I don't know if that's this season, but it's that's like a full one, yeah.
So theoretically, we have like 6 episodes left, maybe at most.
It's supposed to basically bring us to the end of the year, so we're about to December. So
6
I mean,
weeks.
it should be 4 to 6 weeks. I'd say that's probably about it.
I mean, we'll see how I feel when the season's done. Maybe they're really gonna dazzle us with these last, 4 to 6 episodes, and then we'll look back and be like, yeah, there was like a gap there, or there's like just an overwhelming amount of battles that got a little needless, but overall it was finished off strong. We'll see. So I'll just to your point, I agree with both of you. I mean, there's been some things that I think need to be tightened up a little bit. I've still enjoyed it. But I'm really curious what we're gonna be saying in 6 weeks, but overall kind of like season review.
Mike and I kind of talked about before, Phil. What do you think? Would you rather go to a more of like every like half a season or literally a full season before talking about it, or do you like covering every 2 episodes or something, or do we want to push it like every 4 episodes? Like, what do you think? And audience, let us know what you prefer as well.
Yeah, I think I'd like to do like bigger chunks than we're doing, whether it's a whole half a season or a full season. I think that'd be interesting as well. I kind of like how we have a mix that we're like reviewing a particular season or a season of a show. I like the idea that we're doing it sort of like in real time when it's like popular in people's mind. But I do think, there's more to talk about if you can talk about a full season or a half season. And then there's a lot less like, what do you think this means? Like, I don't know what they're doing. This just seems weird. Where are they going to go with it? Which we do, which is natural to do. So I'm not saying we shouldn't do those things, but it might cut down on that, and then we can just really review the whole season. I kind of like that. And then if we're all always just kind of like, in 2 months that we're going to review season 2 of the show, then we all just have to make sure we've watched it all. But that's kind of a nice idea too. And you still could do a show every other week. You just have to have like advanced planning, right? That's, I guess, in the weeds of like the behind the curtain. Yeah, we'd either have to do like say 4 episodes at a time, and then so it'd be 4 episodes, the regular podcast, and then the next one would be like something else we've all watched all the way through. Sure. So if we because we'll have our episodes where we want to do Overtake, and Phil, you and I, Celine, talk about Heavily Delusion, and we'll have different shows that we want to like, so we'd have to fill in with more of that sort of thing. So
option, something to think about. But
I'm open to different different options for sure.
Because this only works. I mean, obviously, I'll just keep doing stuff, but it only works if everybody is like has a show that they want to keep watching and talking about and stuff. So
right.
I don't think you'd have a shortage of that. And from my perspective, like I like listening to you guys talk about shows that I haven't seen yet. I don't mind spoilers for one, right? Even if I plan to watch it, I don't mind the spoilers. But I like, as somebody who hasn't viewed something, right, that brings up questions that naturally I want to ask you about how, something impacts a person or a character story that might seem rudimentary or obvious if you've watched the show, but as somebody who hasn't, it sounds interesting. So I think there's plenty to go into that as well. And if you don't mind me crashing some episodes, for something I haven't seen, that'd be cool too.
No, absolutely. Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to take the chance here to let Mike promote his channel here.
Yeah. So I've got, this is an old one. Oh, buddy. Yeah, my YouTube channel is at track_mouse. It's me driving my Miata as I evolve as a driver and as the car evolves into something more competitive. We went from basically being double duty from a fun street car to a total race car when my wife told me that she no longer cared whether or not we took it out on date nights because it messes up her hair anyways. So it immediately became a stripped out race car just, a month later. So things have evolved. This is one of the older ones. And so that's kind of a fun progression to see. And now we're competing in an actual series called Grid Life Club Track Rat. It's one of their time attack series. And so the car is evolving to be purpose built to maximize that class. And it's cool to see that coming along and how that is progressing and how it's challenging me more as a driver as well. Sure. So over the last year, we've been down about 50 to 70 horsepower, depending on what competitor you're talking about, but we've been severely underpowered. So throughout this winter, we're going to be putting in a new engine that brings us up to parity with the rest of the competitors, and it should be really exciting.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Get that new engine.
Yeah.
Get after it. Very cool.
Thanks, Phil.
In that first video, I don't even know how you could see. I was like, the glare and the sun. I was like, he's going to crash. I can't see where the road is.
So my helmet has a blacked out visor.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's like wearing sunglasses.
Nice. Okay.
Because of that issue.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like glaring off the track. Jeez.
Yep.
I just want to, I'm going to type this in to the chat that people can see, and I'll put this up. So on YouTube, it's at trackmouse34.
Yep.
See, your thing there is always like for Instagram, it looks like, or something.
Yep. Instagram out there as well. That's honestly where I'm most active. YouTube. Okay. YouTube is really, I only upload videos for the most part as like my own study material, right? Like an athlete watches their video back to critique their form. I do the same thing. So that's only going to appeal to certain people. I've had some folks that have used the videos as like to learn the track ahead of time, to get some experience with it that way and see what it looks like in real life. So that's kind of cool. But Instagram is where you'll kind of see the progression, the build, or the feely stuff. So
sure.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Not on TikTok yet, huh?
Never gonna be. That's where I'll draw my line.
There you go. That seems wise.
Too old.
And then I'm gonna show she's often in the chat. MJ Honeybee. She is a Dead by Daylight streamer, and friend. So go ahead and check her out. Primarily, streams live on Twitch. So that's where you should. That's where you'll find her. And she's been pretty active recently. She has a good Discord community as well that you can be involved in if you want. And she should be joining us for the Mario Kart streams when that happens. So
very cool.
Really looking forward to that.
Honeybee.
This game looks so anxiety inducing.
Yeah,
she looks nervous all the time.
I would say that.
It kind of, when you start, for sure, you get used to it, but when you start, it's like,
scary.
Where's the killer? You're just like, yeah, obviously it's no weapons and stuff like that. And the team is relying on you to not mess things up. You go and you have to repair, the idea is you have to repair these lights that are out. And so essentially it's a hot, like if you play Gears of War, you reload your weapon, a right bumper, and then you want to get the good reload, you got to get it within the bar, and it's different for each weapon. So essentially in this, when a light is an event that it triggers, and it gives you a little bit of a time and a window, you got to pull the trigger in to successfully do that thing. And when you're stressed and all of a sudden it pops up or whatever, you definitely miss it, and then the thing makes a loud bang, oh shit, like then the killer knows where you are. So it is fun.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Okay. I used to play I had Silent Hill 4 for PS2 back in the day, and I used to play that like by myself at night, and I would just like freak myself out. I had in the closet.
That's a good one, man. That is horror done right.
Yep.
All right. I think that's all the promotion. Basically, just make sure on this channel, Popcast on the Rocks, Ohayou Anime. This is the show. Follow us, like, share, subscribe in all the places. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, podcast directories, that sort of thing. Leave us a review if you can. We've been gaining a good number of subscribers on YouTube, so that's been really good. Like the shorts. If you watch the short videos, like them so other people watch them too. That kind of thing. And that's about it. Otherwise, we'll be back next week with a regular Popcast on the Rocks episode. And guys, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.